Hey everyone, it's Chris from Stamp Blessings, and I'm here live with my Wednesday workshop. I think this is number 4, so here we go. I am doing this 4 weeks in a row. Last week, if you missed it, it was my 4-card free card kit for February. So be sure to go back and look for that one, because if you place an order on my website for $50 or more, you're going to get a free card kit. Well, through February, we are having still Sale-A-Bration going on strong at Stampin Up. And don't forget to check out the mini catalog. I have a few left if you need a copy, so just shoot me a message or give me a call and let me know. So I mentioned that this is my 4th Wednesday workshop. I won't be here next week. I just want to tell you right up front. My daughter is visiting, and we've got some finalizing to do for her wedding planning, which is May 31st. So it's going to be a busy time. But after that, I'll be back again. So I'm going to go ahead and put this away. And this is our card for today. It's featuring Stampin' Up's Mixed Florals, one of my favorite sets. You can actually only find this online only. So if you have not checked out the online exclusives, you're missing out. There are so many great things. But this is a really quick and easy, a fun card. It features watercoloring, which is probably one of my favorite ways to color. So I'm going to attempt to show you that today. And, you know, each time you do it, it turns out differently. So my last one was a little bit more vibrant, and you know, you just kind of go with the flow. We'll also be using the sentiment from Shadowed Shapes. I really like these 2 fonts. And this die is from Peaceful Seasons. It's the matching die set. And this was our holiday release from Stampin' Up, but you can still get that die set online and the stamp set if you missed out. So, and then Shadowed Shapes is a new release also, so that's current. I'm going to put those aside and get started and show you a little bit of what I did to make this card. So if you have a stamping platform at home, it really makes it nice and easy. This is the old Stamparatus, but I really like it. And what I found was it was easy for me to go ahead and pre-die cut some of these images. But then when you want to get it lined up, that can be a little bit tricky. So I just want to show you what I do when I have a big image like this. First of all, it's nice to use this because you can get enough coverage. But by having this negative, I can just go ahead and plop that in. I forgot to mention this is watercolor paper. And then I'm going to go ahead and ink this up with some archival ink. And I just re-inked it, so hopefully it's nice and juicy, but we'll see. So, and if I have to do it twice, it's not a problem because it's so easy to lay it down there. Okay, I just lay it in, and then I have this fun little hockey puck that just lets me go ahead and apply some nice even pressure. And I found that this often helps release the ink into the paper. So go ahead and really press it, massage it, and then go ahead and take a peek and see how it looks. And that's not too bad. I like it. I'm going to go ahead and do one more so that in case I have an oops, I don't have to stop filming and we go back to it. So let's go ahead and do one more. Plus, I want to show you how you can watercolor not only with reinkers, which I like to do because I use my reinkers, but also with the Stampin Write markers. So just re-inking one more time, and then I'll go ahead and apply some pressure. So I appreciate you tuning in. When I do my lives, I go ahead and share them on YouTube too. So I don't really do a lot of shout outs also because I just can't see the comments as I'm filming. But I hope you do go ahead and like my video, and if you leave me some comments, I love to hear what you think. Do you like to watercolor? What's your favorite technique? So again, we have a perfect image. So yay. Last week I was a comedy of errors, so it was pretty tragic. Well, let's go ahead and start with some re-inking, and ways that I do it is I'll either have like little pill containers, or I like my old contacts containers now that I'm wearing my glasses. I can put it in there, or I like to use old transparency. These are old colors from close to my heart, but I just kind of can erase it or just reuse it and relabel it or put a similar color down. But when I do this, I can pull it out a little bit more. Now that this is dry, it's going to be a little bit easier, but if you put a lot of liquid in there, you don't get the color variation. So now that it's dry, it doesn't matter, and I don't have to throw it away. One more way to do it is just put a little drop or two of reinkers on an acrylic block. So let's go ahead and start coloring this flower with some they call these water painters. So Stampin' Up calls them water painters. And I like my brush really wet. And the key is wherever you go down first, it's going to be really dark. So I like to always start at the bottom and then I pull out. And that is super dark. Okay. So I can tell already that I'm going to want to add a lot more water. So let's see, I'm going to go back to this piece and really squeeze my brush so that that water comes out and is juicy. And now there's enough on there that I can just really pull it out. But you can see that it's still dark at the bottom. Now, when you look at how I did this, I kind of took inspiration from Stampin' Up's catalog samples, and I left a lot of white. I really like how that looks. But if you have a oops and you just fill in that whole flower, don't worry about it. It's okay. So, but what's nice about this is it's just really easy to quickly put down some color. And there you go. So my tulips are kind of already done. Maybe it needs a little bit more here, but what I'll do is I like to let it dry and then sometimes come back and add a little more color. So to clean this brush, I just have to pull it out through my fingertips. I don't need to go back and forth on the paper. That's what's so nice. And now I'm going to do these yellow flowers. And again, I want to have a nice juicy brush. And for these little yellow ones, I'm just touching a little bit in the center and doing a little squiggle. Again, I'm not trying to really color in that whole flower. I'm just adding a touch of color. And if one looks a little blah, I can go back and add some more, but that is it for the yellow flowers. All right, look at how fast this is coming along. I'm going to keep that same technique going with the green. Just go ahead and make sure that I squeeze out my water brush. Make sure there's enough water in there. I want it really juicy. And again, wherever I touch first, whoa, see what I mean? It's going to have a lot of color. But because the brush is so wet, I can just keep going. So I'm going to just keep going with that little bit before I re-ink. And it's just kind of a loosey-goose watercoloring, so it's not precise at all. There I got a little bit of the red to brush in, so I'm going to just grab a napkin and quickly dab that out. And so just by holding that for a second, it already, it's not a problem. I'm going to do a little bit here on that stem. And again with this green, I can come back after it dries and give it just a little bit more color at the base. But it's looking pretty good actually. Yep, that one went a little bit too dark, but now I can just come in with my paper towel and then again add some more water. There we go. So even though it's a little bit darker than I wanted, see I got into the corner there. I'll just add a little bit more darkness on another leaf and then it'll look like it was meant to be. Perfect. So let's go ahead and set that aside. Well, I told you that you can also watercolor with these Stampin Write markers. So this is where you really want to practice with your paper first. And when I did, I found that kind of like that last sample, the color just sat there and stayed. So for this, I definitely need to color first on a block or something clear. And so I'll just use the back of this stamp case as my palette. And I won't do the whole flower, but I'm going to go ahead and use the real red. And I like the big brush side and just give it a swash like that. And then this old olive is kind of my go-to color. I'm going to just give it like that. All right. So you saw how I went ahead and stamped this with archival ink. Now I can just go ahead and add the tulip. And this is a lot lighter. And I forgot to pull out my brush, so I got a little green in there. But that's okay. Now this is coming a lot lighter than the reinker, so that means I'll want to come back after the flower is done and add another layer of color. And it's easier to add on than to take away. So there we go. And you can see I always kind of keep it a little bit darker towards the edges and at the bottom. And I just kind of squiggle my brush around. It's amazing how forgiving this technique is. All right, and then just a little green for the leaves. And again, I'm not going to do the whole one, but you can see how nice that is. But you do want to test your watercolor paper first, because sometimes, depending on the paper, you can color directly to the paper and then pull it out. And I'm going to just show you in this case. So here's my tulip stem. And when I add water, it'll pull it out, but oh, it's doing better than I thought. So let's try some more. But so here you go. You can go direct to paper and then kind of pull it and move it around. So that actually is going really nice. Let's see what happens if I add a little bit to these tulip bases. And again, I'm just following a little, giving it a little bit darkness at the bottom. And then I have to pull out my brush, my painter, and so when I tested this, it just kind of sat there, and now that I'm on camera, it's working beautifully. So you can see this would be even easier to lay down a little bit color on the edges, and then you go around and you pull it out. So love it. That's so easy. Well, the last step for my card is to go back to my Stamp-A-Majig. And I have my image already lined up, but now I want to do my card base. And if you look at my card base, I actually used the Pebble Path color because I wanted it a little bit lighter. I didn't want the stark background. So I have my card base already ready to go. And I can go ahead and remove my negative piece. And I'm going to lay it down and kind of figure out where I want it. I think I want it not to go off the edge, but to be pretty close. So by laying it there, I can just now kind of clamp it in place and ink it up with my Pebble Path. This is pretty dark ink, but it's not black. So it's going to give me, you know, just a nice background. And I'm going to go ahead and use this. And then I want it, and it didn't come out perfect in the center, but honestly, that's okay because this flower is going to go on it. So now I want to just rotate a little bit, and I want this part of my stamp to come on. And, but I don't want a lot of overstamping. So I just have a scratch paper that I can cover up this tulip. And then I'm going to ink ink it up again on that one, just on this one little side here. I'm going to come down, really press it in, because now I have to go over that scratch paper. And this is going to give me a nice background for my card. And there we go. So the next thing that will happen is you could pop it up, but I just like to go, direct on paper. And I have some glue for that. So I'll just add some quick glue, and this is still a little bit wet, but if you were to do this at home, you could just wait for it to dry a little bit. But it's really not soaking wet because I didn't overdo it. And I'm going to just set it so that I like it. And then I don't know about you, but I like to use a phone to just kind of hold things down while I go to work on the next step. So the last step I have to do is to emboss my sentiment, and that is from Shadowed Shapes. I find that if I use an embossing buddy, it helps me to get rid of all of that little extra stray powder and stuff. And I tend to, for my whites, I tend to pour them just in this little Tupperware. And I have this little, I think this was like a sampler from an ice cream, those ice cream packs that you can get. So I've cleaned this with an embossing buddy. Now I'm going to use some Versamark to ink it up. And I invariably get a lot of ink along this edge. So just take a second to clean that edge. It's going to help you. I mean, I'll still get some, just watch, but it helps a lot. And I stamp it down. And then I go ahead and just add some powder and then do a quick emboss with the heat gun. So look at how that turned out. So I really like this die set from Peaceful Seasons. I knew that that I could use that all year round. So I went ahead and I already embossed it off camera. And let's see how our image is drying. So it already looks good. So because I went flat on this, I'm good with popping this sentiment up. So I have some of our smaller dimensionals, and I found last week that it worked really well to do it with a tweezer. And I don't know if that was because I'm on camera and just get a little bit shaky hands, but it just made it a lot easier. So I'm doing that again this week. And then now I just have to get these off. So look at how quick and easy this card is. I love that this flower image and the other one in the set are just so bold that they can stand on their own, but they're also really quick and easy to color. So I did a really sloppy watercoloring on camera, and yet I think it just looks so pretty. So, and here we go. I'm going to put this down. And then here I use the real red, and the tulips are a totally different color. So these are a little bit more orangey. I think that is probably Cajun Craze, or the Cajun Craze. So, but look at how beautiful. I can't wait to finish this one. And these cards come together quickly, but wouldn't you love to get this in the mail? Well, thanks for tuning in to my Wednesday workshop. I hope that you learned a little bit about watercoloring. I hope if you're nervous about it, it made you want to try it. If you need anything, let me know. I appreciate your orders. Remember that you get a free card kit with any $50 order on my website. And I also have loyalty rewards. So I have more about that on my blog, or give me a message, send me a message, and I'll get back to you. Well, happy hump day. Go out and create something, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye.